this Joe anybody?
Yeah.
All right.
Down here to let the people know we don't want a war criminal in our town, right?
Right.
What brings
He's
out
here.
What brings out a bunch of veterans?
Well, we
War
want some
crimes.
accountability for, war crimes.
War crimes.
War crimes, crimes against humanity. It's all right here in the arrest complaint,
Okay, I'll read it
which
over.
this officer will not comply with, even though it is an Oregon Revised Statute 133. Success! The police wouldn't do it, so we had to do it! This is a democracy. When the government won't do it for us, we'll do it for ourselves.
How do I get out of here?
Take her to Syria for elimination.
There's no waterboard.
Torture in must jail. Condi Rice, no justice, no peace. We must jail. Condi Rice.
You're just behind me.
PSU, shame on you! PSU, shame on you! PSU!
Not acquainted with the facts, sir.
PSU, shame on you! PSU, shame on you! PSU, shame on you! PSU, shame on you!
What's happening?
Hi, my name is Patrick. I'm a Vietnam War vet, and I'm here because the Iraq War was predicated on a lie. They extracted that so-called intelligence from a tortured Al-Qaeda member, and that's how they convinced the UN to go into Iraq. In the process, they killed 130,000 Iraqis, thousands of U.S. service people, and sacked our treasury for $1 trillion and ran out the back door. Rumsfeld, Bush, Cheney, Halliburton, they all got rich. And nobody's saying anything about that. I am incensed. The people that are suffering the most right now had nothing to do with this 2008 economic crash. And the people who are most responsible for it are just conducting business as usual, fat cats that they are. And it's unfair. The rub is on. The internet is on our side. WikiLeaks is on our side. Anonymous, whatever it takes. Facebook, Twitter, whatever you can do. You know, dig it up. Go to the search bar on your computer and start looking at some of this stuff. Go check out that video on The Interrogator, PBS Frontline, and Secret America. That's another one, 53 minutes. Check that out, PBS Frontline. And do your homework and speak up, stand up. We can't allow this to happen anymore. This happened in Vietnam. The same thing. The criminals got away. Jerry Ford pardoned Nixon, and the rest of them, you know, Kissinger and his aide, and the whole gang of criminals got away scot-free, just went off into the woodwork and nobody said anything. Meanwhile, they carpet-bombed Cambodia illegally and My Lai massacre, all of this stuff, you know, and Reagan too, you know, all this murder in our name. It's not right. It's in my name. This is my country too.
Thank you. Very well.
Watch your back, man.
What's that?
Watch your back.
Yeah. Gotta watch your back around here.
Well, somebody...
Oh, I know.
Our police force protected a lot of war criminals like one of these lives, and all these wealthy people are having steak, they're having dinner, and while if this person covered his life was responsible for these war criminals and helped us, bring these wars, bring down our economy. But many people starved in occupied Portland, in occupied around the world, in New York and going around. In my opinion, folks, it is a dirty shame what we are seeing. A few of these wealthy people who listen to Condi Rice and blab her story, well, almost 99% go hungry. And shame on this, yo. Shame!
I can talk about Disbarred Torture Lawyers. Disbarred Torture Lawyers is a project of the velvetrevolution.us that has Kevin Zeese as the signing attorney on the American Bar Association memos to disbar the lawyers who support torture. So that would be our Bush 6, who are now our Obama 6, Bush and let's see, Fife and Addington and Gonzalez, Bybee. And these memos of torture were brought forward due to the American Civil Liberty Union subpoena, the Freedom of Information Act subpoena that brought forward the documents. And what was unique about them is they tried to run the process of cruel and inhumane degrading treatment through a legalistic jargon that so confuses the outside viewer who's not familiar with their human rights argument that basically that Middle Eastern people have less rights than Anglo-Saxon Americans. And so this sort of rationale had a lot to do with placing them outside of the jurisdiction of the Constitution and or their status as insurgents or detainees. And so basically we've been propulsed back to a pre-Magna Carta kind of era in terms of habeas corpus and these long-term values that we love to hold dear. And the American Bar Association passed a resolution against torture, but they really have been pretty limp-wristed about approaching this torture head-on. And all of these war criminals have been given positions of high rank in universities across America, so they can do this work of influencing the young to support human rights crimes and human rights violations. And it's a really sad state of affairs for Portland today. But the Disbarred Torture Lawyers Project is quite exciting when you look at the human rights documents. And I send them through a big Twitter rush and Facebook rush today, and they're on Disbarred Torture Lawyers at Scribd, as well as Disbarred Torture Lawyers on Twitter. And
if you Google those names, you'd find the stuff you're talking
about. And just go Disbarred Torture Lawyers all together or separated, and you'll find Kevin Zeese's filings. And it was really inspiring to me from a perspective within American law how to address the issues of torture, because we're out here doing our thing with our protest, but when you go to the American Bar Association and you find that each and every bar association is protecting these war criminals, that none of them have been disbarred, and furthermore they're being rewarded in so many ways, you really start to lose faith about the American Bar Association. I brought it up at a National Lawyers Guild meeting, and the attitude was very callous, and it was almost as though I was coming at it from a naive perspective, and this was a couple of years ago or a year and a half ago, and I feel that now I kind of understand this deep level of cynicism about torture in American law, and that people like Alan Dershowitz supporting the warrant for torture, I think that's coming from a very cynical kind of end-of-life perspective about the deep level of corruption within American law. And I don't support torture with or without a warrant on any corner of the planet.
Yeah. Well, you got a lot of information.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
And we'll look up that info and
And Kevin Zeese is over on the East Coast doing a lot with the DC and New York up Wall Street.
Sure. I'm familiar with him.
You know him. Isn't he the best? He's my total hero. I just love him.
Well, thank you.
You're awesome.
Okay.
Thank you for being here.
Condi, we'll see you in the Hamptons.